Meghan Markle and Prince Harry suing me? Could they do it?
We want privacy! We want privacy!
Welcome to Popcorn Palace. I'm excited to have our first barrister in the building. Welcome, Daniel, the Black Belt Barrister. So happy to have you. We were just over on Popcorn Planet as well. If you haven't watched that video, it's a doozy. Go on, click on there. But Daniel, so happy to have you here. And so happy to hear that you have a new channel as well. We're both starting, well, you're repurposing an older one, but we're both starting new channels. And I see you getting a little bit more opinionated on here. You're sharing some secrets, some opinions, which I imagine it's, you have to wrestle. Do you want to do that as a barrister? Put your opinions out there. Before we get to this topic, what was your decision in making this channel?
Well, I mean, first of all, everyone has an opinion, right? And some people's opinions are worth more than others. In court, we say we don't care about opinions unless it's an expert one. So I tend to keep my opinions to myself. But so many people ask me, what do you really think? So I thought, well, I'll tell you what I really think, but not on Black Belt Barrister. That's maybe the repurpose for Black Belt Secrets. And so it started as martial arts, but now it's like, well, the secrets of what does the Black Belt Barrister really think, I suppose. So yeah, secrets, opinions, whatever you want to think.
I love it. Let's get them to 100K. We can get there pretty quickly. I think this is going to blow up pretty fast. So go over there. And I want your opinions. Well, I also want your barrister opinions, because as we both have now started channels, and as you can see mine, we're out here talking about the Harkles, and they are litigious, it seems, or at least threatening to be litigious. So I wanted to have a conversation with you. Obviously, this is not legal advice. We're just talking guidance, etc.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm curious, what? Look, some people are out there. Andy, leave them alone. You're harassing them. You're just as bad. Blah 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 blah. You're proving her point. And I sit there and I think for a second, there was a point with the Amber Heard coverage where I did make sure I stopped at some point, because I was like, all right, we've made our opinion clear. Yeah. And she sort of went off on her own country and shut up, and it was sort of there. And every time she comes back out and lies, I'm very quick to be like, we're not going to let you do that. Indeed. With the Royals, there's a whole different world to it. It's a whole thing. The Royals have been around forever, and the amount of disrespect and continued actions they're doing feel like our opinions are justified, as they've sort of attempted to speak so ill will of them and continue to play as if they're the victim in the media. Feels like this is all fair game. So I'm curious, from a standpoint just overall in the coverage, do you ever worry about maybe crossing the line, or do you say that not only is this fair game for opinion, but yeah, legally too, there's nothing we're doing that victimizes them in our coverage?
Well, you have to look at it like this. Every time, I mean, especially in recent years, every time you open your mouth and say something, print something, whatever, there is a risk. So the bottom line to any client is there is a risk. How much of a risk and how you defend against that risk is the purpose of legal advice. And so not that this is legal advice, this is guidance, you understand. But every time you say something, there is a risk to it. But also there's cause and effect, and there's chain of causation and everything else. So if somebody says something, let's say someone accused me of being fraudulent, and I come out and said, you're lying, that's not defamatory for me to say they're lying when they're accusing me of something. I'm allowed to say something back. So if someone is in the media saying something that you think is lying about it, and you come out and say, well, I think they're wrong, and that's your opinion. You think they're wrong because of what they're saying, you believe is wrong, and you've got a reason to believe they're wrong. That's just your opinion. That's fair game. The reason it gets bad, I mean, we've got a presenter in the UK called Jeremy Vine. Some people love him, some people hate him. I never really fall on the love and hate side of the fence of either side of that fence. I reserve those thoughts because I don't think there's a need for any of those. I don't ever think there's a need to, like or dislike somebody. I'll comment on the behavior, the actions. I'll say whether I think it's right and wrong, and so on. And as you tweeted earlier today, Andy, with Dan Wootton, you said, innocent until proven guilty, but you still think he's a hypocrite. The two are not mutually exclusive. You can say, look, he doesn't deserve this, but that doesn't mean that I think everything else he did is brilliant. You're not standing up for the guy to say if he was abused, he doesn't deserve it. The two are both correct. So when it comes to someone being accused of something, this presenter we have, Jeremy Vine, he was accused by someone on Twitter of doing something wrong, and it was baseless, but it was stated as fact. And so the point that I'm coming to is, if you make a statement of fact, this guy is a fraud, for example, not referring to anybody in particular, you understand? If you said this guy is a fraud, then if that's wrong, then yes, it's defamatory, and they could potentially sue you. And if they prove that what you said is harmful to their reputation, let's say they've got a large audience, like one of these presenters, they could say, well, I'm suing you because you've damaged my reputation. If, on the other hand, they have a conviction for fraud and you say this guy's a fraudster, well, you're right, because they have a conviction for fraud. If you say they're dishonest, that's right, because they have a conviction for fraud. They are a dishonest person. They've been convicted. So when it comes to news articles and things like this, and you read what people have said, and like what I've been doing on my new channel with my opinions on what I think, what I say is far from defamatory in any sense, because I say, well, this is what they did. This is why I think people dislike them for doing it. And this is what I think of it. I think it was wrong. She shouldn't have done that. She shouldn't have said that. It's humiliating. It's ridicule. It's just wrong. And so whether you're a royalist, I mean, I understand a lot of people are not royalists. I love your new channel, by the way, Popcorn Palace and talking about the royals. Fantastic. It's just absolutely right on the nail, because these are serious things that everybody loves to hear about. We love to think about and talk about, hence my opinion version on Black Belt Secrets. And a lot of people are hardcore royalists. And then there's a bunch of people that they're not really royalists. They don't really care about the royal family, but they can be patriotic, either in the UK, elsewhere. Even I've had messages from the States, from Canada, from Australia, all over the world to say, I'm not a royalist person, but I really think this was, I respect the royal family and I really think this was bad. This was really bad behavior, people have said to me. So I can say, well, based on what people have said, yeah, I think this was really bad. And there's all sorts of things you can say that are not defamatory. They're not unlawful. You can base it on opinion. You can base it on a set of facts. You can even assert questions and say, well, they should be questioned for this. And there's good reason to believe that this is true based on these facts. None of those are likely to land you in any kind of legal trouble, so long as there's some basis for it and you're not just making a blind statement of fact with no basis whatsoever. That's the problem.
Right, and obviously quoting the sources which we do. We're reading articles out there that have their own sources, and that's what we're reporting on. So I want to ask about this, because we actually talked about Royal Rogue. Jesus over there has a channel as well, where he's pivoted to more royal coverage. Okay. And there was rumors he was hearing that they were going to come after him for his AI imagery himself. And since then, I've already, as you can see from my banner and some of my thumbnails, I don't hide the fact this is AI, guys. This is satire. These are AI illustrations that you can put through and add to thumbnails. Harry bored at home eating pizza. I never hide the fact, and in fact, I made sure to put on AI parody art. Harry and Meghan do not endorse this channel. Do you but this is a hot button issue. Do you think that's litigious? Should I be worried? Is it as long as I'm clear enough that this is satire, that it's AI, which I make sure to put in all my descriptions and even say often on the channel? Am I covering my butt enough? Would you be worried? What are your thoughts on the future of AI, Meghan and Harry?
I wouldn't be too worried. I mean, on the surface, you've got potential copyright issues. And I say on the surface, it's that skin deep. And certainly in the press, you've got, this group of people are thinking of suing for copyright infringement because, it's, AI has raided their library of books and things like this, and bringing out stories and material based on their literature, which obviously attracts copyright. But you've got straight to the point with parody and pastiche. It's not such a, I was going to say fine line. It's not really a fine line. It's a very clear line between making an adaptation and a variation on something. I I mean, if you take, a Mozart, Handel, Beethoven piece and you make your own variation, well, they're out of copyright for a long time, so that's fine. If you take one of the latest pop songs and say, here's my take on that, well, there's probably a copyright issue there. If you, on the other hand, you do a pure parody and pastiche, this is supposed to be funny, and it's a clear, comic version of the thing, then that is generally accepted to be perfectly fine. And so there is a whole conversation to be had about it. But on the whole, I think it would be quite a silly argument to bring that. There was one case, I'm not going to mention the names of the companies, for obvious reasons, but there was a recent case about a year ago, I think, where a large prestigious company came after a very tiny company saying, you've made a product that is very vaguely similar to ours using a very vaguely similar name. We're going to sue you because people will be confused that, your brand, you're trading off our brand. But when I looked at it, I just thought, that's ridiculous. No one in their right mind is going to confuse this with that. You are a worldwide, very, very old established brand name. And this is like, it was a kid's product. I'll go as far as saying that. It was a kid's product. Like, no one's confusing this with that. So, bring the claim all you like. It's not going anywhere. If anything, it's bullying. And so I suppose I'd go as far as saying that. If there were claims that were completely baseless, based on, a parody pastiche version, albeit produced by AI, I mean,
like this right here, it's clear he's not putting her in a suitcase in real life.
Well, exactly. The point is, no one will believe that this is, genuine, or no one's going to genuinely think that you've copied this and made your own adaptation. It's clearly parody and pastiche, which is where most YouTube thumbnails get off. It's clearly used, in one sense, to describe what it is that you're talking about, which is fine, which is why, companies selling a branded product say, here's what we're selling. Well, it's necessity. You've got to refer to it. If this is parts for a manufacturer of cars, well, if you're manufacturing parts for the car, then, fine, that you can refer to it. And there are certain exceptions. But again, here, no one's confusing this with genuine photos. So it's quite clear.
Well, sometimes, but so this one here, it's like, it's genuine, but I put the Harry in like, whoa, whoa, whoa type of thing where, again, I'm going off of this is satire illustration. No, of course, clearly, I don't have a picture of Harry worried with his pizza. And I also want to reiterate and make videos. So all the audience is always very clear. These are parody. All thumbnails I make are the parody. And obviously, she wasn't in a suitcase. In fact, she wasn't. Even the AI didn't do that. This was a combo of Photoshop and AI, which is what a lot of this is, which is, artwork. At the end of the day, I'm creating artwork. And these are public figures, right? It's a different sort of set thing where it's like if I was putting out like them at a crime scene and trying to actually put out news that they were doing something illegally using AI, then I would understand the risks. But I don't know. It seems like they don't take the joke, though. But then I've had others say, well, if they sue you, that'll be a very fascinating case, and you'll get a lot of press. So
no, the distinction is this. If I make the distinction like this, it'll be absolutely crystal clear for anyone watching. If you were to make a picture of, Harry and Meghan out at some event somewhere and sell it as though it were a real paparazzi photograph that ended up on the front page of something, oh my God, they were here, and you made money off it, then quite clearly you've used their image, AI, to create something disingenuous, which arguably is fraudulent, civil, if not criminal, because you're profiting off, making a photo that's portrayed as being a real thing. Yes, there's a lawsuit there, quite clearly. I think you can all see that. This is the reverse. No one thinks that Meghan was really sitting in a suitcase with, Harry and Harry eating pizza, looking shocked, and what, no one thinks these are real. So it's quite clearly parody pastiche. The oldest, one of the oldest version we have that hit TV was called Spitting Image in the UK. And, Spitting Image, for any viewers that are not familiar, is just a British term for something that looks exactly like the real thing, but is not the real thing. So spitting image, like you are the spitting image of, whoever. I think Rowan Atkinson did a really fantastic, it was an interview talking about this. He said he had some guy, Rowan Atkinson played Mr. Bean in the UK, if you're all familiar.
Yeah, of course.
Fantastic actor. And he did this piece where he said, someone came up to him and said, do you know what? You're the spitting image of that Mr. Bean. He said, I am actually the actor that played Mr. Bean. And they said, I bet you wish you were. It's a fantastic scene of spitting image. But anyway, we digress. So yeah, there's no issues there at all.
This is the spitting image. All right, I'm glad to hear it. We'll keep doing it and make it clear. Yes, this is all parody. Well, all right. So it sounds like we're in the clear as long as the takeaways here, make it clear it's our opinions. Report on what we're feeling. Yeah. Don't create any fake news. Like say that we're sourcing stuff that we've made on our own through AI, and the rest of our opinions on Meghan and Harry are fair game. This is reactions to the news that their sources and publications are putting out there. So it sounds like both Black Belt Secrets and Popcorn Palace are in the clear. I'm happy to hear it.
And if there's any doubt,
we can keep doing what we do.
Yeah, and if anyone's in any doubt and worried about it, then what you do is you just refer to, where did you get the information from? Because if you were wrong, let's say we're quoting this, the Heat magazine website, and if you were wrong and you say, well, this is where I read it, it's on Heat World, go and read it yourself. You've got your own opportunity to look at it, form your own views. You're welcome to disagree. This is where opinion is perfect, because we come full circle. Everyone's got their own opinion. So long as you leave someone with the ability to form their own opinion based on the same information that you derived yours from, you're pretty much in the clear. Because if it ever came to a court, the court would say, well, they had the opportunity to view it themselves and decide that you were talking nonsense. And so, there's no way they could rely only on what you said. They had the original source themselves. So it's a bit like showing a video. If I comment on a video and I say this was dangerous driving, right? Just my view, you can form your own view, but here's the video. You can watch it yourself, form your own view. I think it was dangerous, but you decide for yourself. Then no one can say,
so again, and if you want to see our take on the Heat magazine article, which we broke down and Daniel did eloquently, implying he feels like it's a hit piece Meghan could be putting out there for Harry. Again, that's on Heat. If we're wrong, it's on Heat because we're trusting their publication, their journalism to do it. So interesting way to go about it. And yeah, that's what we do. When I don't report on something that's factual unless I know it's factual or I can vet it or confirm that it's factual, because I know that I'm on the hook and I don't want to put out false news. That's why we also use our speculation warning anytime we're making speculation. So great conversation. Appreciate the insight. Guys, if you want more amazing insight and actually secrets and opinions, head on over to Black Belt Barrister's newish channel, Black Belt Secrets. Go support him there, give him a follow, and then you can also go to the original Black Belt Barrister, support there. And if you haven't already subscribed to Popcorn Palace here, what are you waiting for? Here on Popcorn Planet, the universe has expanded. Hit that button, hit that bell, smash that like button, and leave a comment. What do you think? Did you like Danielle's advice here? What are your thoughts? Do you think Meghan and Harry will still sue anyway? Let us know what you think down below. Always a pleasure, sir, for being here. Please come back anytime you want. Always welcome to join you as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more here on Popcorn Palace. Oh, I do it in a fancy voice.